Hello, and welcome to Warhammer 40k's Grim History from the Beyond. I'm Zeckthar.
And I'm Yuksen.
We are the chroniclers of all that was, and all that will be in the 41st millennium. We've seen the rise and fall of many empires, and this month, we'll be discussing the nuns with guns, the Adepta Sororitas.
Indeed, this month we will chronicle how they came to be, what role they play in the Imperium of Man, with some notable characters along the way. Well, Zeckthar, what are we going to be talking about this week?
Well, this week, we are discussing notable sisters of the Adepta Sororitas. And while Yuksen, I believe you have picked some very stalwart heroines, I myself went the other way. So, to start off this week, I would like to discuss Yfrael Stern, who was a sister of battle of the Order of Our Martyred Lady, who was predestined to acquire special psychic abilities born of her unshakable faith in the Emperor of Mankind, that far surpassed those of any ordinary psyker. Now, Stern has been known by many titles during her long years in the service of the God Emperor: Thriceborn, the Demon Fugue, Sainted Savior, and Heretical Witch. To find the answer as to why she is known as both a hero and villain, we have to go back to the beginning, before she even became a Sister of Battle. You see, as opposed to most other Sisters of Battle, Yfrael was not an orphan, but had been promised by her parents before her birth to be an Adepta Sororitas. She was raised on the planet Antigon's harbor by the Saint Sabbat Schola Progenium. The Archdrill Abbot of the school submitted the young Yfrael for induction within the sisterhood and was accepted by Sister Patricia from the Order of the Holy Seal. The Novice Stern excelled at her new monastic duties as a battle sister in training, and it wasn't long before she and some 500 other novices took her sacred oaths of adherence at the Ecclesiarchal Palace on Terra. Sister Stern was then chosen to become a member of the Order of Our Martyred Lady. Shortly after induction into the order, she went to the ecclesiarchal cardinal world of Ophelia VII. Her exemplary service record helped elevate her to the esteemed ranks of the order's Seraphim within record time. Only 3 standard years later, she would be ordained as a Sister Superior. Sister Stern was eventually sent on a mission on behalf of the order to investigate a lost convent of sisters of the Order's Pronatus on the world of Parnas. There, Stern and her sisters discovered what had become of their fellow sororitas. A powerful greater demon of Slaanesh, a keeper of secrets named Astaroth, had been freed from his bonds and destroyed the convent. It then took the ruined bodies of 700 battle sisters and forged them, body and mind, into a terrifying construct of living flesh known as the Screaming Cage. Though the fallen sisters were forced to share their torment and suffering, the demon failed to take into account that they were also able to inadvertently share their faith as well. As the demon sought to kill the remaining sisters sent to investigate the convent, Yfrael Stern fell in battle. Seizing this one chance, the fallen sisters within the Screaming Cage used their combined psychic powers to bring her back to life, filling her with the full might of their combined faith in the God Emperor to combat the forces of chaos. Once returned, the resurrected Stern was told to flee as the fallen sisters hid her presence from the demon and its chaos servants. Stern's memory of these events was erased. She was the only one who managed to return to her order on Ophelia VII, being the sole survivor of the expedition on Parnas. Her sanity stretched to the limit. Her seemingly unnatural power made her an object of suspicion amongst the members of her order, with many of her sisters viewing her as having been corrupted by the ruinous powers. Stern was placed within a holding cell for 4 Terran years until her exact nature could be determined. At this time, she was attacked by a sister who was controlled by a demon of Slaanesh to silence her, but the enraged Yfrael managed to defeat her attacker with her bare hands. This set new events into motion. The inquisitorial investigation, under the command of Inquisitor Silas Hand, was sent to the Order on Ophelia VII to investigate the sole survivor of the Parnas expedition. Whilst at the convent sectorium, Stern underwent numerous trials to test her spiritual purity and ensure that her soul was free from corruption. Not found wanting during these trials, Sister Stern was declared uncorrupted and was reinstated within the ranks of her fellow battle sisters, and granted her former position of Seraphim and the rank of Sister Superior. Inquisitor Hand, not fully trusting Sister Stern, nevertheless took her with him to investigate the former convent on Parnas. During the investigation, the fallen sisters of the Screaming Cage finished their holy work, pouring all the remaining knowledge and power into Sister Stern to fight the corruption of chaos. Inquisitor Hand sacrificed himself to defeat the demon Astroth and banish him back to the warp. But Sister Stern went missing after the second expedition, once again being the sole survivor. Hunted by both the Imperium as well as the forces of chaos, Stern remains aloof from both. She has even sacrificed herself, stabbing herself in the heart to escape the foul machinations of the infamous sorcerer Ahriman of the Thousand Suns Traitor Legion. Resurrected once again by the power of the faith within her, Stern finally embraced her abilities and used them freely for the first time. With these newly embraced abilities, Stern as the demon Fugue has managed to even defeat a Calexis assassin that had been sent to kill her by the Inquisition. Euphrael Stern was last seen traveling with Kaigano, a mysterious Eldari, and former Harlequin known as the Pariah, to the fabled and forbidden Black Library, using her abilities to access the vast conduits of the Webway.
It seems like they let everyone in these days.
Pardon?
I said it seems like everyone's getting into the Black Library these days. Last month we talked about how Jacques Draco made it in, and now this Sister of Battle gets in? What's next? Snake Rot?
Well, she did have an escort.
Yes, I heard ya. A Harlequin that got drummed out of his order. That's even worse.
Yuksen, you're just upset that we can't go, aren't you?
Just think of all those books, Zeckthar. We should go.
You know we can't, brother. Unkulu forbids us from entering the webways because our psychic force would destroy them.
I know, but still, I mean, all that knowledge, we won't have to second guess some of the stuff we're talking about. I mean, really, it goes from the beginning of time to now.
Well, while my brother vents his frustration, let's get back to our sister, shall we? Well, the Ordo Hereticus has issued orders for her destruction. Ironically, some members of the Ordo secretly believe that she might represent humanity's greatest hope against chaos since the legendary Primarchs. During the era Indominus, Euphrael Stern came to the aid of a large group of Adeptus Sororitas of the Order of Our Martyred Lady, engaged with a war band of the World Bearers Traitor Legion on the world of Severitas, guided by grim visions of a frozen silent doom that she sought to prevent. Though distrusted by her fellow sisters at first, she convinced them that she was a true servant of the Emperor by unleashing her miraculous powers on the heretic Astartes. Meanwhile, on its way towards the system bordering the Nephilim subsector, battle group Kalides of the Indominus Crusades fleet Primus stopped at Severitas. After the Sisters of Battle led by Stern defeated the Word Bearers, they joined the battle group, pledging to aid the Indominus Crusade in any way they could, for they recognized it for the holy endeavor that it was. During the later war in the Pariah Nexus, fought by the battle group Kalides, she commanded a portion of the Order of Our Martyred Lady and the Order of the Bloody Rose, and proved to be a constant thorn in the side of Luminor Xeris.
Bah! I hate that guy.
Me too. Anyways, who was not able to understand or counter her faith-based supernatural powers. Indeed, her powers are unable to be suppressed by the Pariah Nexus, giving the Imperials a vital edge in the conflict.
You know, she seems more like an anti-hero to me. At the very least, she would get along with most radical Inquisitors.
How so?
Well, the fact that she, even though she is originally, I assume, more of a straight-laced person, she's kind of moved off that path to, so long as the job gets done, and I know that I'm right to begin with,
Yeah.
I'm still alive, let's get it done.
So, out of all the Inquisitors that we talked about last month, who do you think that she would actually probably get along most with?
I don't know, maybe, Inquisitor Eisenhorn might.
That's exactly who I was thinking of, actually. But then again, she also might have a whole problem with him, like traveling with the demon host.
Yeah, I was about to say, except for maybe she would fry the demon host,
Yeah. But it seems like they have a very similar way of kind of, I don't know, looking at how to save the Imperium. I think she would also probably get along fairly well with, what's his face? The demon hunter. Cotiez, yeah. Because while she will kind of do everything to get the job done at the same time, one thing that doesn't, even though she does use abnormal means to get things done, she's always kind of pure in what she does.
Right.
So, and I don't think from all the stuff that I've read, I don't think that she ever, like summons demons or anything. So,
It wouldn't make sense for her to do so.
yeah, I think it's more anyways that everybody's afraid that she has summoned demons and it's just never happened.
Or that she will.
Or she will, yeah. Because now she's a dangerous psyker. Which, I mean, don't get me wrong. There's a good reason why they're mistrustful of her, but this is one of those few cases where there really isn't really any evidence. So I could see her definitely getting along with Codiez. She definitely wouldn't get along with Greyfax, though. She'd probably shoot Greyfax. But
Greyfax would first try to shoot her, and that wouldn't work.
so now I got one last question before we move on. But does this mean that she's technically a like the same thing that Vulcan is?
No.
Or what's his face? Everybody's favorite character,
She is
John
not a
Grammaticus.
perpetual.
A perpetual. Well, she can't die by the sounds of it. Is this just another form of a perpetual?
We don't know if that's going to be an infinity thing or if it's just until a certain point of time.
Well, it sounds like the Emperor won't let her die. That's really what it boils down to, right?
Okay.
And the Emperor is a perpetual, so maybe he's psychically doohicking her into a perpetual.
Until he doesn't have any use for her.
Yeah. Or he dies. I mean, he's just kind of barely hanging on there on the golden throne. But I was just kind of wondering anyways if or maybe anyways he's actually already instilled that in her, so it's not something that he has to constantly keep an eye on. Maybe she just is a perpetual now, but not in so many words. I don't know. I was just kind of wondering. Seems like she kind of is, but not in the same way, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So like,
Who knows if she'll die of old age though? That's another thing.
Yeah. Well, not only that, but the one time, anyways, she's been killed a couple of times and brought back by the Screaming Gate. And then she committed suicide once and then got brought back again because of that. So I don't know if that's just, some weird warp link that's attached to the Screaming Cage or if it's the
wonder
Emperor
why
himself.
she isn't trusted.
Yeah,
she just keeps coming back randomly.
Well, that old saying, anyways, that don't trust something, anyways, that bleeds for more than a week and doesn't die. What? Well, brother, how about we talk about someone who is more of a heroine variety, someone pure of heart, who stands against the forces of evil in the name of the Emperor.
Well, I don't know if she's pure of heart, but Morven Ball is definitely a pure soldier. Yes, Morven Ball, the Grand Poobah, the head honcho, the big cheese, or simply the boss. Ball is the current Abbess Sanctorum of the Adeptus Sororitas, and as such is the leader of the entire Sororitas. Originally a Celestian of the Order of the Ardent Shroud, at the start of the Dominus Crusade, she was placed in her position by the Ecclesiarch to refill the previously vacant position of Abbess in a bid to improve morale. She was one of the youngest abbesses ever to hold the position. Vol wasn't even consulted and only found out about her promotion when ecclesiarchy delegates arrived to inform her while she was waging the rest guard purgation. Vol stunned all present by not immediately accepting the position, but instead declaring she would need a period of prayer to consider. She took refuge in her mission's shrine to Saint Silvana for 3 days, and when she emerged, she accepted the promotion to abbess. She again shocked all present by immediately demanding someone fill her current position before making for Terra, ignoring the many planned days of celebration and ritual to mark the occasion.
I'm sorry, Yuksen. It's just, her humility and lack of lusting for power is incredibly refreshing.
I know, right?
I kind of like this person. Sorry, carry on.
After arriving at Terra, Vol proved far more difficult to control than the Ecclesiarch had initially thought. Continuing to wear full battle armor, even in the presence of members of the Holy Synod, her pitiless and baroque nature intimidated many of the cardinals and ministorum bureaucrats. Her initial focus was to re-establish contact with as many orders as possible in the wake of the Great Rift, and nearly all of her work was focused around strictly military matters. Even after being promoted to High Lord of Terra by Robute Gilman himself, Ball showed little interest in a political career, and instead sought to continue her role as a military commander.
It's probably why Robute Gilman promoted her to that station.
Well, as you'll find out later, for other reasons.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm
To
game.
that end, few were surprised when she appointed herself commander of the crusade against the traitor worlds of the Philosopher's Belt. Leading forces from every major order, Paul led by example and stormed the field personally to defeat the traitors. During these exploits, she mostly ignored the many slew of generals, governors, and admirals that clamored for her attention, and instead left such matters to her orders dialogus and orders famulus staffers. Unlike her predecessors, she continued to lead her sisters from the front lines. The ecclesiarch had initially hoped Vol would be an easy pawn. She took part in the Dominus Crusade Fleet Secundus battle group Erastus, where joined with Marshal Gideon, the Emperor's champion, and Baron Munstus and his Imperial Knights of House Fideliter. She defeated the Witch Empress and her demonic patrons of Vastordos. One of her most recent campaigns was that in Sheridan, where she led Battle Group Tarsus and defeated the forces of the Black Legion Lord Discordant Akaroth Zaid. Unfortunately for those in the imperial bureaucracy, Robute Gilman has not only attained the cooperation of Vol for the Indominus Crusade, but also for his coming purge of the imperial bureaucracy. Likewise, being a High Lord of Terra allows her to petition the Officio Assassinorum.
Aha!
Despite her...
Sorry, go ahead.
There's a High Lord I'd like to have disappear, please.
Which one? All of them?
All of them. but more importantly, I swear this guy has like a cult in his backyard or something.
Sorry. Go ahead, man.
Okay. Despite her preference for getting stuck into the fiercest fights around, Morven Ball is every bit the taciturn commander her position demands. Her fellow battle sisters rally around the glorious golden figure of her warsuit and fight with superhuman ferocity, knowing that their supreme commander is every bit as ready to lay down her life for the God Emperor as they are. Now, before you give your opinion on this unique abbess, can I talk about her war gear?
Yeah, I want to hear about that. I'm assuming she's not going to battle in a tin can.
Oh, no. She's no work. So, first off, she wields the power spear Lance of Illumination, which was gifted to her by the Adeptus Custodes.
Whoa! Wait a second. She was given a spear by the Custodes? Outrageous!
That's right. The weapon was originally stored in the Imperial's palace reliquaries. It is said, however, that a day even darker than those which blight the Imperium now will need the lance's enlightenment. If the Custodes shared such terrible knowledge with Morven Ball, then the notoriously taciturn abbess has kept it to herself. The other notable item she uses in combat is the Paragon war suit Purgatur Mirabilis. Now, the Paragon suit is an armored walker used by the Adeptus Sororitas. These vehicles are gifted to elite Celestians who have expressed the ultimate faith. Machine spirits bound within the warsuits trust only the pure sisters of battle and are difficult to tame. However, should such a union be successfully formed, the pilots can advance through the thickest enemy fire and engage the most fearsome of foes. The pilots must possess incredible skill to pilot these vehicles, for they are capable of extremely complex and fluid maneuvers. Each Paragon warsuit is equipped with firepower to rival a Space Marine dreadnought. Their left arm incorporates a heavy bolter, heavy flamer, or multi-melta, which is augmented by a shoulder-mounted secondary weapon, consisting of either twin grenade launchers or storm bolters. Its right arm wields a melee weapon, consisting of a large Paragon Warblade or Paragon War Mace. As expected, for someone like Val, her Paragon Warsuit, Purgator Mirabilis, goes beyond the average warsuit. It is the finest Paragon warsuit constructed, but the Purgator's holy spirit only responds to the most pious and battle-hardened of the Emperor's servants. The relic's known early history saw it restored by the forged temples of Mars Fabricator General in M37. This process took 2 centuries to complete and was done in thanks for the Adeptus Sororitas bringing salvation to the fallen Forge world Gen Quora. Since then, while all Paragon warsuits afford their wearer unparalleled protection, the Purgator is as far removed from them as Space Marine power armor is from a flak jacket. Its powerful energy fields even blunt attacks before they can reach the Purgator's thick adamantine plate and turn aside blows that would cripple even a Space Marine. The relic's armaments include 2 incorporated Paragon missile launcher shoulder guard batteries, which are inscribed with verse from the Fide Imperiales. The Purgator is also armed with the underslung heavy bolter, Fidelis, which pronounces its lethal sentence upon scores of faithless heretics. This weapon in turn is protected by an embossed gun shield marked with the names of the 2 convents the abbess has authority over. It is said that the shield shines with the Emperor's own light, and it throws back the hateful spite of unbelievers and twisted monstrosities. So, what are your thoughts on the current abbess?
Quite frankly, it's kind of interesting to have somebody in this universe that you actually really root for. I mean, she's almost like a
And
breath
to
of fresh
she's
air.
actually a High Lord of Terra.
And a High Lord of Terra to boot. Yes. Just the fact, anyways, that she just, from everything that you've talked about her, anyways, is that she fights for the Imperium. That is just straight up her mission, her goal, her life is to make sure humanity continues to exist.
Right. And that chaos should burn.
I mean, I think you kind of mentioned at the very beginning, anyway. She is just straight up a pure soldier.
Yeah.
Which I
and
love.
She gives, one of the things they do notice is the fact that she also gives duties such as political stuff to people who actually, know political stuff, like the Dialogus and the Famulus.
So what you're saying is that she also has a mind, anyways, of stuff, anyways, that she doesn't really want to deal with. She will give it to people, though, that have the understanding to take care of it.
Right. Because as we discussed a couple weeks ago, the Famulus is very learned in politics and behind the scenes operations. And I believe you mentioned concerning the Dialogus also has some sort of import when it comes to knowledge in general.
Yeah, the space nerds. Yeah, I mean, quite frankly, anyways, from all the stuff that you've kind of described her and the stuff that I've read, she just is, like I said, a kind of a breath of fresh air. Just her character is very simple, very straightforward. This is what she does, and I'm cool with that. I mean, she is truly a hero of the Imperium.
Her armor does look awesome.
It does. It does. For those of you, anyways, that are listening to this on our podcast, feel free to look on our YouTube channel, Tales of Ashraka, and we have all sorts of pictures of her, and she does look awesome. I mean, she looks like she could take on an entire army of orcs by herself. I mean, she looks that cool. Could she do that?
No.
Maybe not a whole army, but a good chunk of it.
She would eventually probably get flattened. Would get too much, and then she would just die from weight being on top of her.
I'm just thinking, anyways, that if it's her on a battlefield with Commissar Yarrick and his riding his tank, I can't remember what they call his tank, but it's a big one.
It's a Bane blade.
Yeah,
something
and they'd
or
come
something like that.
storming down the hill anyways. I think most orcs would take one look at that and go, we got better things to do, and then just tootle off. They do. She does look awesome. And quite frankly, she does look like she could take on an entire army by herself.
Yeah.
But you know, Yuksen, with all this talk of this heroine, perhaps I shed the light on a villain from the Sororitas.
What? A villain?
Yes, quite so. Now, although it is rare, Adeptus Sororitas have fallen to heresy, as well as having been corrupted by the Gene Stealer cults, despite the Imperium's public declaration that this is not possible. Once this occurs, the Sororitas orders go to great lengths, both to prevent it from becoming known and to remove the stain on their honor. This includes hunting the heretical sisters down and having them quietly killed, while also having their existence erased from the Imperium's history. Some orders even have a pure sister undergo surgery to assume a heretic's face and identity in order to keep the truth from being discovered. One such sister was Mariel Sabathiel, originally a sister superior of the Order of Our Martyred Lady, who was declared missing in action on the world of Verdicon, where a vicious battle between the forces of the Imperium and elements of the Emperor's Children Traitor Legion had taken place. She was captured by the demon prince Belzeroth, who corrupted her after many rounds of agonizing torture, bringing her into the service of Slanesh, the chaos god of pleasure and pain. She was the first sister of battle to willingly fall to such disgrace. Balzaroth had great plans for Sabathiel, but the news of her fateful return from the dead reached her order, and the hunt led by Canoness Olga Karamans to rescue her from the clutches of chaos and hide her existence from the rest of the Imperium hindered Sabathiel's new ambitions. To put an end to the pursuit, Sabathiel went to the world of Cauldrus Prime, conducted 3 mass killings in such a way as to suggest they were the work of a battle sister, and then hid on Namgorod, the old capital of Cauldrus Prime's freezing northern region. Pavlov Kurtz, the region of Karograd, the new planetary capital of Cauldrus Prime, assumed these actions must have been performed by some chaos imposter from the nearby embattled Pyrrhus Reach, trying to stain the order of our martyred lady's name. He discreetly transmitted reports through ecclesiarchal channels to alert the Adeptus Sororitas' authorities to the defamation. At the same time, he sent the Catcher of Men, a local bounty hunter named Lowen Teget, to eliminate the miscreant in secret. Shortly thereafter, Canoness Olga Karmans and the veteran battle sisters Elias and Bernadette secretly arrived on Cauldrus Prime and made inquiries of Regent Kurtz. After appraising the situation, they immediately followed the tracker that Teget carried at the Regent's orders, without waiting for reinforcements. Kurtz wanted to gather from the Cauldrus Prime's planetary defense forces the Interior Guard, in order to prevent Myriel's existence from becoming known in the wider public, badly tarnishing the Adeptus Sororitas as a name. This led Karmans and her companions to fall into the former sisters' trap. Sabethil used Teget to kill the sisters Elias and Bernadette, and then to distract the canoness before killing her, despite Karmans' repeated offers to find a way to redeem Sabethiel from the clutches of damnation. Thus, freed from her pursuers, Sabethiel corrupted Lowen Teget to the service of chaos, took him as an ally and servant, and stated her intentions to hunt Eldari, always the favored prey of the servant of Slanesh.
Zeckthar? Question?
Yes.
Why in all that is holy would you bring up such a villain? We are here to discuss heroes, not villains.
No, we are actually here to discuss notable characters. Haha. And yes, well, honestly, out of all the ones that we've talked about so far, the Abbess is probably my favorite. I do want to put into note, anyways, here that there are villains in the Adeptus Sororitas. I mean, they're not there anymore, but they were originally Adeptus Sororitas.
Yeah.
So the concept that they're just these pure, holy, what's the word I'm looking for? Mary Sue of the Imperium. It's just not true. They still struggle with the forces of chaos, along with the disparity that is the corruption of the Imperium. They still have all these problems, and most of them fight through it. But there are some, like this particular villain, that don't. I honestly think, anyways, that we should give, each its due. But what do you think about this interesting person?
Well, for one thing, one of the things I've been trying to find is there was another one that was kind of similar to this, but not.
Or okay, so which one? There's been a few actually that have fallen to chaos, and like I mentioned at the beginning, anyways, gene stealer cults too. That's the other one. In which case, by the way, gene stealer cults, I think it's a little bit different. I think simply because anybody can fall to a gene stealer cult. Yes.
Well, I don't know about Space Marines, but
well, okay, that's a good question. We'll have to definitely. Maybe that's actually the question that we answer, anyways, next week. Is can a Space Marine fall to a gene stealer cult? Because if I recall right, gene stealer cults, they infect people, right?
Right, which is why it would probably fail. And even if
depends on how strong the virus is, I guess. But yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Well, that plus, the apothecaries probably do routine checks on people, and that kind of pop up.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that also gets back to the whole point, anyways. Although about the Adeptus Sororitas, they're still human,
right?
Space Marines really, at this point, they're really not. They're technically, what's the term? Genetically altered.
Yeah, they're basically demigods.
They're really not human anymore. I mean, we talked about anyways on the concept anyways of becoming a space wolf. There's just attributes anyways of humanity that are just gone from them. But anyways, go ahead, Yuksen.
I can't seem to find the person, but the person was ended up falling to chaos, and the way the Ecclesiarchy tried to cover it up was they had somebody else take the name, persona, and have that person go down and hunt the person down and kill them. And in theory, anybody that got in the person's way and found out was supposed to be executed as well.
And let me guess, when she was done anyways, she actually killed this person. She turned around and said, "I am Alfarius," and then disappeared.
That would be hilarious.
But yeah, sorry.
That would be hilarious, but no. Thankfully, this person actually had some scruples, and she didn't kill the couple people that did see the person.
Well, that would actually. Sorry, I was on that tangent on Alfarius. That would really ruin it for a lot of people. Alfarius is actually a girl. No. The internets would crash. Sorry. Anyways, you were saying?
It's like, well, with all the genetic skills those days now, no.
Well, brother, I believe we have time for one more. Who's the last woman you wish to discuss?
Well, the last one I'd like to discuss is Eleanor Blanche, the White Martyr.
Oh.
She is a Argent Shroud Canis Preceptor who commands the Demonor Crusades War of Faith. Prior to that, she was the canoness of the Argent Shroud's first company of the 5th Preceptory. Blanche took command after her predecessor was killed during the opening of the Great Rift, despite Blanche's efforts to save her. The canoness bears many scars from that battle, and Blanche still blames herself for not being able to save her predecessor. She sought redemption because of this, and, while always carrying the Book of St. Lucius, Blanche led a crusade force towards the Great Rift to reconquer the Argent Shroud's lost worlds there.
Pardon, Yuksen. I have a quick question for you.
Better not ask what that book is.
Nope.
I do not know.
I figure if somebody wants to look that up, they're on their own. But is this going to end sadly?
No, not necessarily.
Does Blanche die at the end?
What?
I said, does Blanche die at the end?
No, I believe she's still kicking.
Oh.
And shooting.
Well, that's too bad.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm glad that she's still around. It was just more along the lines that we had the anti-hero, the hero, the villain, and then we could have had the martyr. I mean, she's called the White Martyr. I figured probably ended badly, but no, she's still around? Well, okay. Well, we didn't cover all 4. We'll have to do that next time. Sorry. carry on.
Now, where was I? Right. In time, Blanche's quest led her to the Cardinal world Daemonor, which fell to heresy after the Great Rift's creation. The Candace sought to reclaim the world, but her sisters were heavily outnumbered and became attacked by a large force of heretics. They would have been defeated had the Zephyrum Superior Angelica and Saint Celestine not led reinforcements of Argent Shroud sisters to their aid. Angelica had come after being granted a vision by the Emperor that Blanche needed aid, and with the combined might of the Argent Shroud and Saint Celestine, the heretics were killed. Afterwards, Celestine, Angelica, and the sisters they had brought with them would join Blanche's efforts to cleanse Daemonor of its heresy. They succeeded in doing so, and afterwards, Blanche led the Ardent Shroud sisters to Sanctuary 101. The candidates sought to reconsecrate the world for the Imperium after it was lost in the aftermath of the Great Rift's creation. However, the Necron Thocht dynasty sought to claim the world as well, and was led by Overlord Anrix. Despite the Order's fierce efforts, they were defeated, and Blanche was personally cut down by Anrix. The surviving sisters then escaped to Daemonor, which was already being used as a staging post for the Daemonor Crusade. There they recovered from their wounds, including Blanche herself. Anrix had also lopped off her right hand during the battle, and it was considered miraculous that the Candace had survived her injuries. Blanche did not share the same belief, though, as her defeat had left the Candace feeling hollow and shattered her faith. She also felt extreme guilt for the sisters who had died at Sanctuary 101, Daemonor, as well as for not being able to save her predecessor. While Blanche's body healed and she was given a new bionic hand, the Candace now sought atonement. This led her to begin a trial of suffering in order to seek absolution for her failures. Before Blanche could do so, however, she was met by the Abbess Lord of Terra, Morven Val. Despite their defeat, the Abbess assured the despairing Candace that her survival was testament to her indomitable faith. Because of its purity and strength and Blanche's success at reclaiming Daemonor, Val told the Candace she was to be promoted. By the Abbess's decree, during a ceremony on Daemonor, Blanche was now a Candace's preceptor and would also be known as the White Martyr. Val also gave Blanche command of the Daemonor Crusades War of Faith, which all of her surviving Argent Shroud sisters joined as well. All this caused the fires of Blanche's soul to burn stronger than they had before.
And
That's it.
what?
Yep.
That's all we got on her?
That's all we got on her. And I looked. I went through our many files, folders, and scrolls.
Uh-huh. So now she's running in the Indominus Crusade, is what you're saying.
She is running the War of Faith crusade.
Which is in the Indominus Crusade era? The Indominus era?
It would be... Well, the Indominus Crusade is taking place at the Great Rift, right? Then more than likely, yes. Since
the Indominus era, anyways, takes place during the Indominus Crusade. And the Indominus Crusade, I believe, anyways, is yes. Trying to fix the Great Rift. That's
yeah. Well, Daemonor is part of where the Great Rift is.
Okay. So
remember,
she's gotten to the point, anyways, where history is no longer relevant because history is still being made.
Right.
Okay. Well, I do have one question for you before we take off here. Why is she called the White Martyr?
I don't know. It doesn't make sense since she isn't dead. And she hasn't died.
The White Martyr, who still isn't dead. What? Martyr, anyways, by definition, if I recall right, means you had to have died for your faith. So, I don't know.
Should have been dead because she had her hand lopped off, and in theory, she shouldn't have survived it.
Okay, so maybe
That's
the White
the
Survivor.
only connection I can find that I can think of.
So they really should have called it the White Survivor, or the White Death would have been cool too. I mean, the White Death is actually a really cool person from Terran 42's World War II. But
that was it's remember, Zeckthar, this is the sororitas.
I thought for sure you were going to say
White Death. No.
I thought for sure you were going to say, well, they didn't call her that because that name has already been taken.
It probably has already been taken.
Well, folks, that'd be it for this week. Join us next week for our usual Q&A, as well as a topic we've been thinking about, which is each Primarch's favorite song and perhaps who they would be in the WWE.
Fantastic. Don't forget to make comments so that we can actually answer them next week.
Yeah.
And we almost forgot, thanks to our members, Bender Biden, Hermes Skirty, and Anarchy.
Indeed. Thank you all for listening, and I hope you enjoyed this Vox. Feel free to like, follow, subscribe, and comment. And don't forget to check out our shop. We got some cool stuff there like clothes, pillows, and hats, including some new merchandise that's got some interesting new things on it.
And don't forget the rabbits.
Yeah, well, I suppose the rabbits t-shirts got some cool stuff on it too. But have a great day. And as always, until next time, this is Zeckthar
and Yuksen
signing off.